Good evening. My name is Jennifer Felix, and what I'd like to demonstrate for you all this evening is how a DSLR camera takes a far superior picture than a point-and-shoot camera. Now, many of you may be asking the question, what in the heck is a DSLR camera? But what I'd like to first think about for a moment is let's think about photography. You see, because photography is very special and unique in that when we relate it to time, although none of us are able to stop time, none of us are able to go back in time, and none of us are able to really recapture time, what we are able to do in photography is we're able to capture special moments within time that then allow us to feel as if we're reliving those special moments. But what makes those moments so special is the quality of the picture that we're able to take with the tool that we have. And so although there's various camera types, what I'm here to do this evening is demonstrate to you once again how a digital single lens reflex camera will produce a far better quality picture than a point and shoot will. And to begin with, this right here is a point and shoot camera. What makes this a point and shoot camera is, number one, its size. It's small and it's compact. Although it has different functions on it, the most common function that most people will use will be the auto function, meaning all you have to do is point it and shoot. You look through the LCD screen, and pretty much you might not get exactly the picture you're looking for getting, but if you're outside, you're going to capture something. Then we have what's called the DSLR, which is the digital single lens reflex camera. This has a mirror inside of it that then automatically will move with you, with the lens, with the functions within the camera, then allowing you to actually capture what it is you see. Therefore, you get what you see. These two are DSLR cameras, and some of the accessories that go along with DSLR cameras that you are not usually ever going to be able to accompany with a point and shoot is you have different lenses that you're able to use. Also, there's not an internal flash on these two cameras. What you have is an external flash that by far is better quality than the built-in flash that you get on a point-and-shoot camera. But there are three aspects about cameras that are the most important aspects to any picture being taken. And these three aspects are the ISO, the aperture, and the exposure. So when we think about ISO, what that stands for is International Organization for Standardization. Big, long word, but really to put things quite simpler is we have these numbers that allow us to set our ISO setting at 100, 200, 400, 600, and it goes up and up and up. With a point and shoot, such as this one, it allows you to go up to 1,000. With this one, you're able to go up to 3,200, and with this one, you're able to go up to 6,400. Now, what does that mean in simple terms, in layman terms? What does that mean for us? What that means is when you're in a low light setting, the higher the ISO number, the more it compensates for the less light. So then you're able to take that photo in a darker setting. Now, unfortunately, with this camera, it's not as good. Typically, point and shoots are not as good. So what's going to happen as you increase that number, you're going to get what's called noise. And that noise are the little speckles of grain that you see on a photo, and you wonder where in the heck did those come from. These cameras, although may still have a little bit of grain as you increase the number, because the sensor on the camera is bigger in nature, it's not going to be as noticeable as with the point and shoot. Then you have what's called aperture. Aperture is the amount of light that then is allowed to hit the sensor. Now that's important because, see, on this camera you're not able, the point and shoot, you're not able to adjust for aperture, where on these two cameras you are. So you have different lenses that'll take you from a 1.2 all the way to a 22. This lens right here starts at a 1.4. This lens right here starts at a 4. And this lens right here attached to this camera starts at a 2.8. What that means is the lower the number, the larger the circle, so the better the light that's going to be allowed to come in. The larger the number, the smaller the circle, the less light. The next one is your exposure, which is the amount of light allowed to fall onto the sensor. Your longer exposure time will capture more of the handshake, and you're going to get kind of blurry. So you need to have a quick exposure. On the DSLR cameras, you're able to adjust for that. On the point and shoot cameras, you're pretty much at the mercy of the camera. And although some of them may allow you to adjust a little bit, they're not going to give you the preciseness that you need with these cameras. Now, to better understand this, one aspect about a point and shoot that I personally didn't like was what's called shutter delay. The shutter delay is where when you press down on the button to snap the picture, and then you have about a 2 to 3 second lag time before the picture is actually taken. Now, what that is referred to here is shutter delay, like I said, In a New York Times article, Bob Gann of Hewlett-Packard's Digital Imaging Systems architect states that the shutter lag is a #1 dissatisfier of why people don't like the point-and-shoot cameras, because it seems like none of them get away from shutter lag. But getting back to the most important aspect of what I'd like to talk about is what constitutes a better picture. We have the ISO, the aperture, and the exposure. We know that all these cameras may adjust for ISO. We know that these two, we have aperture, and this one, although you may be able to adjust exposure, is very limited. Now I'd like to focus your attention on this photo right here. This was taken this evening. This photo was taken of this Diet Coke bottle with this camera. It had no flash. They both had exact same setting, ISO of 1000. This next photo here was taken with this camera right here, the DSLR with this lens. I was able to zoom in where I wanted it. Now, if we go back to this photo, what you're going to see is that by nature, the point-and-shoot camera focused in on this, on the camera right here, and now this is blurry. What this lens focused on was what I wanted it to, which it focused on here, making this sharp, this blurry. Now, the reason why this is blurry is it's called depth of field. This right here, it would have been better if they all would have been in focus. And as you can see, there's a little bit more grain in here, which doesn't allow for as good of a picture quality, whereas in here, it's more sharp, more vibrant, therefore allowing me really to feel as if the Diet Coke has come alive. Now, if we had more time, I would actually demonstrate for you how taking a photo with each of these cameras really does produce a different picture quality. But because of time, what I'd like for each of you to do, after we're done here this evening, if you'd like, is come up front and I'll allow you to take the different photos with the different cameras and experience for yourself, and then you be the judge, because at the end of the day, I am guaranteeing you that everybody here will surely agree that the DSLR camera takes a better photo than the point-and-shoot camera. Thank you.
7 minutes.
Oh my God, he's going to deduct me.
No, but that's fine. It's really good, though.